Hi, and thank you for joining me on another Friday Upgrade. These are all bite-sized concepts and ideas taken from my recently published book, The Tech Executive Operating System. And today I want to talk about the subject of Chapter 7, and that is creating change in your organization. At the end of the day, when it comes to creating world-class engineering teams, your work here, the actual stuff that you do, usually manifests in what we call change initiatives. There is the actual work the team is doing. They're delivering on whatever they said they would. But your work, the executive leadership work here, is to incrementally make the team better. And those usually come in the forms of these initiatives, these changes, and they come in all sorts of sizes, big and small. It can be as small as talking about which messages should be on the team's Slack channel, and as big as reorgs, changing your development processes, how you create roadmaps, how you create objectives, how you give feedback, and how you rate the performance of your people. All sorts of stuff in a large kind of spectrum. Again, big to small. And creating change in a way that actually drives results, that gets people involved and enthusiastic about the changes, and in a way that is efficient so that your speed of change is fast, is not easy. Frankly, I believe that for most people, the toughest parts of the job are all of these things that relate to having people change. Just as it's hard to provide someone with candid feedback to make them change their behavior, changing the behavior of the entire organization, even sometimes in a very small thing, can be very hard. So how do you do it correctly? I won't say that in 3-4 minutes I can provide you with the gist of it. The chapter is filled with concepts taken from several books, a bunch of research, and in there I lay out the change algorithm, how to follow a given plan from A to Z in order to execute on a change without seeing all sorts of issues. There are common pitfalls like the zombie changes that you trigger, and they seem to never die, even though I think they got what we wanted out of them. We still have those sinks, and we still have to talk about what we're going to do with it next week or next month or next quarter, and it's just going on and on and on. So it's not a change initiative, it's just a new process that never leaves us. Or there's the change that actually goes nowhere. You have this meeting where you say what you want to change, how you want things to look from now, and 5 minutes later, people are out of the room, and that's it. We're not going to talk about it anymore. Nothing's actually changing. And in that pitfall, what we're doing is we're teaching our people that whatever we're talking about doesn't really matter. Nothing actually changes. And that's really bad because we're creating a culture that's change resistant. And in the book, I talk about the need to create a change culture, a culture that understands that change is not just something that we do when we must, but we change because we proactively want to improve upon ourselves. Just as you won't wait till, I don't know, whatever package you're using or whatever SaaS you're using is no longer relevant, is defunct and not working, to move on to the next kind of thing, to research new alternatives. The same applies to your team. You should always be tinkering, changing a bit, and trying to see where you can improve on the way things are being done. And so I want to leave you in this video with one of the best concepts, the most important things to keep in mind when you're kicking off a change initiative. Again, you can get the whole gist in the book, but right now something that will already guarantee that you're going to be better off than you were before is that whenever you're defining a new change, and again, no matter how big or small, start with your definition of done. How would you tell that the change was successful and that you've accomplished it? How would you know that you can remove the recurring calendar invites, stop sending the status emails, and actually declare, all right guys, we made it. good work, let's move on. How would you know? Because without that, you cannot know when you're done, and thus you cannot add more things onto your plate. You'll eventually have too many ongoing changes, even though they're not really ongoing. And so start with the end in mind and then do some backwards planning. What should you do in order to reach that end goal? And again, in the book, I have a whole algorithm you can follow. And I recommend that you check it out because I think that's one of the things that actually help, especially as you grow from 10, 20 people to dozens, 100 and more. That's when change initiatives become so complicated that you have to follow a plan in order to make sure that it actually happens. So that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't yet, grab your early bird copies of the Tech Executive Operating System, because right now in the early bird period, you're gonna get a whole bunch of benefits if you purchase several copies. So check the link below to see what it's all about. And thank you. I'll see you again next week.